We're here back with Oscar for part 2 of this Oscar build series. Last episode we got our motor mounted and the turbo was hung. As you can see, it's now missing. And for you very, very particular people, you'll see the water pump is also different, or the water pump pulley is also different. I took the turbo off because last time we were putting it together, I was so excited that I cross-threaded the crap out of this bolt. So I ran a tap through there and fixed it up and got it nice and snug. It's good. So I'm gonna throw the turbo on there, bolt it down for good. All this stuff is good. This valve cover needs to come off because the ABA valve cover I'm using, ABA upper intake hits this G60 valve cover. I'd have to notch it or clearance it. I really don't want to ruin this G60 valve cover. I like it. Plus, there's no point of having a nice valve cover when this thing's covering it. So I'm just going to steal the tin valve cover off of this one, put it on that one. This one goes on that one. Cool. And another thing is this AC compressor. We're going to be removing that because it's not going to have AC, obviously. And for those VW gurus or people that don't know, you can use the VR6 water pump pulley in turn of the V-belt drive pulley to make your serpentine, or make your whole setup a serpentine setup. When you remove this, get a smaller belt, it'll run crank, water pump, alternator, and your tensioner, and that's the end of the story. This is what was on there before, like this, and this ran crank, water pump, and power steering pump, which no power steering, no AC, so it's just going to be simple 3-pulley setup. I got my lower intake, handful of bolts to put it on, and my fuel rail. These are gently used units. I'm gonna go through them and clean them out. I might make a video on how to clean them out on a budget. I need a new fuel rail because I got this fuel rail and I didn't realize that the mounting tabs both of them are broken, so I can't mount it to anything. So I might get me a -6 fuel rail, just break down and start spending some money on this thing. I want it done right. And ideally AN lines is nice and neat, good. That's just where I want to head with this build. And I might as well, buy once, cry once. And I'm all about saving money, but if I can do it once to save money in the long run, I will. And these things are known to break, these plastic regulators. That and this regulator is only good up to, I want to say 80 PSI. So I have an 80 PSI pump, so it living on the edge is not going to help its cause. So I'm going to get a real regulator to bring it back down to the working 60 PSI, which is what this is, but something sturdier. These things tend to crack and break all the time. So I'm just going to put that in for plug holes because I don't have a nice shop, as you can see. A little carport, but we're going to make this build happen here. And I'm going to set you up on a time-lapse while I remove this bracket, remove some other crap, and it should be a good time. So as I was about to put the intake on the lower plenum, I saw a little bit of orange, and that's not good. So I got to looking, and this one looks fine. That one had water in it. It looks worse than it is. It's just surface, but that is still not a good sign. This will take a little bit of running to make it act right. Number 3 is the same way. Number 4 is open, which worries me that the cylinder might look like that. I have a bore scope that I can poke inside and look, but I'm just going to turn over the engine by hand a little bit and spray some WD-40 in that unit. Turn it over some more, and that's why I wanted to put the intake on it so bad, because in here it leaks, and even though That engine sat literally right there for, wow, I think it's been like 2 years. It was covered up, but stuff got in it, I guess, humidity and whatnot. So we're gonna fix that real quick, and I'll go back to the time lapse of putting that stuff back on. Okay, so this is about as far as I got today. I really would have liked to do more, but this is all the time allowed. This is just a quick little outro overview. I got the brackets gone, AC compressor is gone, the bracket from here is gone, the axle cup cover thing is gone, the intake is mounted with 2 bolts, fuel injectors are in, and I was fiddling with these turbos because this one's a smaller turbo. It's a SPA 700, and that's a GT 3076R. Oh yeah, after the stop motion that I noticed the rust in the intake, I spun this thing over and it was actually locking down. It made about 3/4 of a rotation and then stopped. So I wiggled it back and forward, and I heard it break through the crust layer. Gave it some more WD-40, laid some transmission fluid in there. It's a little bit of that Dexron. And spun it over a couple times. Number 2 cylinder is huffing out the intake, but that's just rust on the valve seat, which I'm sure will go away as soon as I start running and, you know, getting it operational. So we'll pick it back up tomorrow, see where we're at then. I got to make an adapter at some point. I got the throttle body in yesterday, but I need to do that at the job, so that's on hold. I'm gonna fool with the wiring and see how far I can get on that.